Tokyo Ghoul is probably my favorite anime, so much so that I started reading the manga, and if you can get me to read, that's some achievement. And similar to my Xenoblade Chronicles video, this isn't going to be a long, in-depth review. This is just going to be me talking about what I like, and because of how long the anime is, we're just going to be talking about Season 1 this video. First off, the visuals. The visuals are amazing. There's so many beautiful moments, and moments where the characters just look completely badass. And combine that with the incredible art style of all the Kagune, which really mesh well with most of the characters that have them, you can get some really amazing fight scenes. Now let's get into the world building. The world building is really well done. Basically, there are these humans, and then there's these ghouls which look like humans, except for their Kagunes and Kakugans, which they can hide. And the only thing ghouls can eat are humans. Now the thing I like about the world building is the almost criminal underworld vibe. There's many places where ghouls meet up for different purposes, but they have a business as a front so that nothing seems suspicious, anything from a cafe to a mask shop. In addition, some ghouls have a sort of hunting ground that they're given, serving as a sort of turf for them. And I say given because there are different wards that are controlled by different ghoul organizations, which sort of manage the ward. And some of these organizations, like Ontaku, which is where most of our main protagonists are from, try to limit ghoul activity, to stay under the radar of the CCG, which is sort of the police force against ghouls. Despite that, there are still some ghouls within the territory that Ontaku controls that get the attention of the CCG. Ghouls like Shusukiyama, also known as the Gourmet, and Rize Kamishiro, also known as the Binge Eater, are two examples of these ghouls. And due to the different levels of power and aggression ghouls have, as well as the differences between ghoul organizations that control areas, some wards are considered more dangerous and more of a focus by the CCG than others. For instance, due to Ontaku's management of the 20th ward, it's considered one of the more safe wards. However, the 11th ward, which is controlled by Agiri, is considered way more dangerous. We also hear that Jason, who's the main antagonist of Season 1, is from the 13th ward, another ward that is considered extremely dangerous. And it's this level of depth that leads to some really interesting characters that are shaped by their environment. We can see this clearly by looking at Toka and her brother Ayato. These two have a lot in common. They're jaded, short-tempered, and have done some really messed up things. They both also have a hatred for the Doves, which are the CCG's hunters and field agents. Ayato joined an extremist group called Agiri that is dedicated to destroying the CCG, and we see Toka go out, hunt, and kill a member of the CCG following the death of Himani's mother. The only difference is that Toka isn't completely cold. However, we know that wasn't always the case due to the remarks that Tsukiyama makes.
Once upon a time, your cold, dark heart set might a flutter. Sad to say, that's no longer the case. Something's lit a fire in your eyes, and you grow softer as you melt.
And this change in Toka is clearly the result of her pleasant experiences with humans, as well as her being a part of Ontaku in the 20th ward. On the other hand, Ayato moved to the 11th ward, joining Agiri Tree for power, and in the process becoming a cold-hearted, brutal extremist. We see this with other characters. 13th Ward's Jason is a psychotic, sadistic monster who uses brutal methods of torture, often for fun, but his twisted mind is the result of someone using the same grotesque torture methods on him. And this aspect is most prevalent with our main character, Kaneki, who changes a lot throughout the anime, but for now we're just going to be talking about his changes in the first season. Kaneki starts off as a normal human, living a solid life, attending a pretty prestigious college. He is shy but kind. However, after nearly dying, he becomes a ghoul, and his entire life is flipped on its head. At first, he is unwilling to accept the change. He isn't willing to hurt or fight anyone, but after nearly dying, resulting in him being unable to control his ghoul nature and almost killing his friend, he has to learn how to fight, although he is unable to use his Kagune without losing control of himself. This, however, completely changes after he's captured and tortured by Jason for days. And while he is being tortured, he has a conversation with Rize, who is the ghoul that almost killed him and whose organs Kaneki now has inside of him. We hear that Kaneki's mother taught him to always take the pain so others don't have to, a mindset that, in the end, got his own mother killed and led to his torture. In an amazing scene, Kaneki lets go of this mindset, finally willing to stand up for himself. And the thing I like about this revelation scene is not only is it Rize convincing him and sort of manipulating him into taking action, but it's also the show convincing the viewer that Rize is right. Her manipulation even swaying the audience. It is good to an extent, but it led to Kaneki doing terrible things, hurting others, his friends, and even himself, which is exactly what Rize wanted. And the audience is rooting for it. Similar to Kaneki, we fell for this manipulation, and it adds a layer of immersion to the story. At the end, he breaks free and fights Jason. His speed, agility, durability, and proficiency with his Kagune is clearly way better than anything we've seen from him before. But it's not just his abilities that change. His attitude is completely different. He almost seems to enjoy his fight with Jason, taunting him. He is calm, collected. The only hint of emotion we see is the occasional smirk, and Kaneki completely overpowers Jason in this fight. Jason now being at his mercy. And as the credits roll, we see Kaneki torturing Jason, enjoying the sense of power he gets. And when he's had his fun, we see Kaneki kill for the first time. And this is just the first step of Kaneki's path into darkness, a path that will lead to death and destruction, which we will see a lot of in Season 2, which I plan on talking about in the future. But for now, that's all I got for today. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.